Hello and welcome to the Forces Sports Show, your weekly roundup of the best action and biggest stories from across the services, coming up in the next half hour. Missing out, the RAF's young footballers lose the Inter-Services title to the Army on goal difference. Plus, high hits and high scoring, why there was a fierce Forces flavour to the RAF's game against London Scottish.
I've had more sleepless nights from what happened in Glasgow than what happened in Afghanistan. And that's the truth.
Motivated Mickey, the Scottish powerlifter, gears up for the Commonwealth Games. The Army have kept the Inter-Services Under-23 Football Championship, but only on goal difference. The RAF came close to taking the title. The RAF arrived in Aldershot knowing only victory would see them crowned champions due to the Army's superior goal difference. Alan Woodcock forced the first save of the contest out of homekeeper Joe Gorman. As the Air Force enjoyed the first quarter of the match, they couldn't quite capitalise on one or two jitters in the Army defence. Despite bossing the possession, they failed to find the opening goal they craved. Gradually, the Army grew in confidence and they looked to hit the airmen on the counter-attack. Sean Woolley overran his scoring opportunity, but only last-ditch defending saved the Light Blues from conceding. By now, the Army were enjoying their best spell of the match. Ryan Thompson thought he'd opened his team's account, only to be thwarted by Matt Cape in the Air Force goal. Both sides had chances just before the break. Luke Davis failed to make the most of his leap. Meanwhile, Ryan Burrow's menacing run didn't lead to a goal at the other end, as the stalemate remained at half-time. The Airmen started brightly following the break, but must have thought the footballing gods were against them. With the target seemingly at his mercy, Mike Goddard somehow missed from 2 yards. Eventually, the Light Blues found the target. As the Army failed to clear Harbottle's cross, Ross Glibbery fired home for a 54th minute goal. That joy was short-lived. Just a few minutes later, the Army equalised. Thompson headed home a measured free kick from Woolley to make it 1-1. The Air Force pushed for a winner but ran out of time, and the Army nearly nicked it at the death, so it remained a stalemate, with the Army taking the overall title.
Well done to the RAF, they were great today, and at times evenly matched, but also I think both keepers influenced the game with some great saves at both ends today, definitely.
It's such a short competition, it's very difficult for teams to sort of get established into it, but that 3-0 win against the Royal Navy with that extra goal has seen you home.
I think so, and again, from 2 years ago, knowing that goal difference makes all the difference in this competition, because it is only a round robin. Third goal, 92nd minute, did it for us, I think.
At half-time, we said we didn't need to change too much. We just said to them to have a tiny bit more quality in the final third. I think they had a little bit, and our goalkeeper and their goalkeeper pulled out a couple of good saves. So, yeah, unfortunately, just didn't get over the line.
So the season's first piece of footballing Inter-Services silverware goes to the Army. The women and senior sides embark on their campaigns next month. A second-half fight-back from the RAF's rugby union team wasn't enough as they lost to London Scottish. The Exile picked 10 Army players, giving a fierce game an Inter-Services flavour. Kath Brazier was there.
5 first-half tries from the Championship team looked to have completely swept aside the Air Force, with the score 31 points to nothing at half-time. The first 3 came inside the first quarter, a mixture of fast-flowing rugby and forward power. Conversions kicked by the Army's Owen Davis, also a London Scottish squad member. Then came a period of RAF resolve, signs of what they're capable of as they dominated possession. But they couldn't convert, and twice before the break, Scottish scored again. Tries for Army duo second row Chris Smith and flanker Sonoma Vakune. The Light Blues, though, found their feet in the second 40. Applying pressure, Luke Riddle came close. But it was this great pick-up from Sam Breeze that led to the first RAF score, Sean Webber dotting down in the corner. This shoulder barge put Juit Tapua in the sin bin. London Scottish immediately took back control, exploiting the space on the wing for this brilliant touchdown from another Army player, Craig Edwards. But even down to 14 men, the airmen hit back. Matt Clark put through, thanks to some great phases by the RAF. A yellow card for Josh Barton after this tackle meant Scottish then went a man down as Tapua returned to the field, and that advantage allowed the military side to have the final word. A handling mistake from Scottish allowed Clark again to carry the ball from the halfway line. A successful conversion putting the final score at 36-17.
Yeah, do you know what? I think they opened at quite a fierce pace, and they sort of just ran over us a little bit. Took us sort of 15-20 minutes to get into the game, and then that middle patch of the game is where we got a bit of possession and sort of imposed ourselves a little bit more. It took half time to regroup, and then certainly in the second half, we came out 3 tries to 1. So I think we grew as the game went on. We've got a lot of young blokes that would have taken a lot from that coming into the IS. It's all about playing in the right areas, isn't it, and playing at the right times. If it's on, it's on, regardless of where you are. So, we scored a lot of good tries, a couple of breakaway tries, but support was key, and it was excellent. And it's something that we've certainly been working on moving forward.
London Scottish have 3 regular Army squad members, Pete Austin, Owen Davis and Gareth Smith. So the RAF will hope it's their second half side that turn up when they meet the men in red for the opening inter-services game on April the 11th.
The Army are aiming to make rugby league history this weekend when they play Conference Premier team Kells in the 3rd round of the Challenge Cup. It's only the 6th time the service has made it this far. A win against Kells would put the Army into the 4th round for the first time. That's the stage Championship sides come in. The Army are the Challenge Cup's top scorers so far. They've amassed 74 points from wins over Milford Marlins and the London Chargers. It's a busy time for former Royal Engineer Mickey Yule. He's undergone groundbreaking surgery on both legs. He's also taken part in a documentary that pitted him against an able-bodied athlete on the skeleton track. And above all, he's managed to get his place in Team Scotland's lineup for the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games in April. He's been talking to Kath about what motivates him.
Working out in his garage at home, Mickey remembers finishing 4th at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in 2014 and says it haunts him to this day.
It's been driving me nuts for 4 years. And every time I say this to someone, they never believe me. I've had more sleepless nights from what happened in Glasgow than what happened in Afghanistan. And that's the truth. And maybe that's because I'm not wired right, but that's the truth.
Certainly not someone to shy away from a challenge, Mickey's determined to compete and medal in the Gold Coast despite his recent surgery.
I think the Team Scotland medical staff or whatever have been keeping a close eye on me, because the actual weightlifting selection took place in December, and really you should select weightlifting and powerlifting at the same time. We're both in the same team and they didn't select me, and I thought they would have announced that because I had qualified, I'm ranked 2nd going into the Commie Games. And they didn't, but I was in hospital with a broken femur. And they've got your eye on you, but do you know what? It just makes your belly get that burning, that fire going, because if someone doubts you, you just want to smash it even more. So if there's doctors back up the road thinking that I might not make it, well, we'll see when I lift a medal and bring it back on that plane. I can let them wear it if they want.
The Commonwealth Games in 2014 came just a few months after Mickey was medically discharged. He went on to claim gold at the European Championships in 2015 and finished 6th at the Rio Paralympics in 2016. Add to that 2 Invictus golds in London and Orlando, and it's easy to understand why Team Scotland have put faith in this man.
We've done it before, we've been in this game long enough now, we know how to peak, I know how my body reacts. So this month will be about building size. I've been in hospitals and dealing with a lot of rehab and taking a lot of medication recently, so I need to get my body big again. I've lost a lot of size. This month we're going to be doing loads of reps. We're going to get that bulk back and that mass back, fill my frame out, and then the last 4 weeks will be a power block, and it'll be low reps, big numbers, getting ready for the competition both mentally and physically.
Usually you would see powerlifters strap their legs to the bench. This was Mickey in training with British weightlifting back in 2013. Currently though, he's training with his legs in the air. It's harder and will make him stronger.
I've been told by my orthopaedic surgeon that that left leg is going to be stronger than anybody's leg. It's held together with complete metal, so it's going to be stronger than it ever has. And then we'll just start digging the legs in. As long as I'm working hard and I'm training and I'm staying positive and I know what I've got to do, then once we get over to the Gold Coast and we start at the training camp, we'll just start digging the legs in and the numbers will go through the roof.
Post-Com Games, Mickey's main focus will be the 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo, but he's hoping that Invictus will be a big part of his training.
Well, I've just done the first Invictus Games powerlifting camp up in Loughborough this weekend. I watched the last Invictus in hospital. That's when I had my osteo, so me and the two other lads on the trial, we watched all the Toronto Invictus Games, and do you know what, it's not great watching it, I must admit. You want to be there, and I feel like what's happened since then, that I need that Invictus family even more. I caught up with everybody there, and there's a big training and there's a lot of maybe selection headaches for the organising committee between now and October, but I'll certainly be putting my name forward and hopefully go back and regain some of those gold medals that I've missed in Toronto.
The 2018 Invictus Games are in Sydney in October this year. Before that, Mickey will be travelling to France to defend his European title in May, hopefully having returned from the Gold Coast with that well-deserved Commonwealth medal.
The Army's #1 ultra runner Tom Evans has raced to victory in the Coastal Challenge in Costa Rica. The captain, who serves with the Welsh Guard, set a new course record. He finished the 230-kilometre event in 21 hours, 44 minutes and 11 seconds. Meanwhile, fellow Army ultra runner Anna-Marie Watson gets her race season underway this week. She'll go in the Trans Gran Canaria. Army athlete Anna-Marie Watson will swap wet and windy Warminster for the clement conditions of Gran Canaria as her ultra-running season gets underway later this week. With a distance of 125 kilometres to complete in under 30 hours, the event demands courage and determination. She's tailored her life so she can feature in as many events as possible and admits it's essential to be at ease with one's solitude.
For me, it's a very antisocial sport. I kind of get that. You're out on your own for hours and hours and hours. And I do just love being able to kind of get into a rhythm, go with the flow, and just, I don't know, just be out in nature.
Do you think your military background helps you when you're out on the course? You know, you've been through Sandhurst, you know what it's like to do officer training. So are you able to draw upon those experiences when perhaps the going gets a little bit tough out on the course?
Very much so. It is mind over matter every time, and it's how can you push yourself when things get tough, because ultimately at some point something will go wrong, and there will be that little just stop, just sit down, just put your feet up, and it's keep on going, having that focused attention and having that discipline to keep going. And I'd also say with the multi-day events, that's where my military training has very much come to the fore. Going and doing Arctic warfare training, you have to have your admin totally squared away, and actually being able to do that in the Sahara Desert, the sooner you get your admin sorted, you can put your feet up and rest. And it's the recovery that is absolutely key, because that is what is setting you up. So when you're at the start line the following day, you know you are rested and recovered and you can perform at your best.
2018 will see Anna-Marie tackle more events in the Ultra Trial World Tour series, but despite her success, she still feels a novice on the circuit.
It's almost still quite new to me, and to have done so well last season, I kind of get to the end of each season and go, wow, that was amazing. Next season can't be any better. It was exactly the same at the end of 2016. It is almost a what next? What next? How do you kind of keep going? How do you keep pushing yourself? What is that other goal?
The trails around her Wiltshire base are useful for workouts. Away from her role with the reserves, Anna-Marie runs her own performance coaching business. As an ultra runner, she says she is always learning about her sport and her body, particularly during training. She is doing all she can to remain at the top of her sport.
If I just went out and ran 6-7 days a week, I would break myself, and particularly when I'm doing the longer distances, and I often run with weight as well, just to kind of strengthen the legs. And when you're building up for something like the Marathon des Sables, it's essential to get the weight going. And I'm quite small, and carrying weight for me is a challenge. So that's something that I do have to work on. You talked about it being an obsession and an addiction. It's definitely a lifestyle, and I have built my life and my business and working with the reserves around that.
Following her stint in Gran Canaria, Anna-Marie will have just over a month to prepare as she lines up for her second Marathon des Sables. 40 military veterans have been showing off their sporting abilities at the Phoenix Winter Games, an event hosted by Help for Heroes. Sledge hockey, the Paralympic variant of ice hockey, was included for the first time this year. Rosie Layden went along to have a look.
Sledge hockey is new to the Phoenix Games for 2018. Fast-paced and physical, it's already proving popular. What made you get involved with this particular sport?
A show of madness, I think, at the time. I've never done anything like this before, and with Help for Heroes and the Phoenix Winter Games, we get the opportunities that more than likely some of us have never even contemplated in our lives. I can't do normal ice hockey, I don't have stability for it. Doing sledges, we all know it's not so far to fall, and they've padded us out so well that we're not going to hurt ourselves.
But not everyone's a beginner. Former soldier John Lagaludec plays the sport for Great Britain. He describes it as rugby on ice.
I joined the army back in '98, quite a few moons ago, but toured all over the world, the last one being Iraq, and in 2007 I was shot in the spine by a sniper, and that kind of changed things. But the one thing that I never left was sport. I knew it was important before injury, and with sport recovery at Help for Heroes I knew it was important again, and I tried a lot of other sports, swimming, hand cycling, but none really gave me the same drive pre-injury until ice hockey, and it's given me a purpose. You know, I play for a local club, and for the last 4 years I've been playing for Great Britain, and it is such an honour and a pleasure to be able to play for your country again, and but albeit this time on the ice rather than the battlefield.
Well, Sled Dogs scurry is a more familiar event at the Phoenix Games. Teams raced around the grounds at Tedworth House in Wiltshire. The sleds reach high speeds, but only with the help of man's best friend.
The recovery is a very long journey, and to be given opportunities like this is an absolute amazing thing for us. You know, we are very lucky, and we have to thank the public for helping us get to this sort of stage so that we can have fun like this and really enjoy ourselves.
That is it for this week. Don't forget you can see all the action as we get it on forces.net and this show and more on our YouTube channel. Let's leave you now with one more look at the Army's triumph in the Under-23 Inter-Services Football Championship.